Aarto, if you might remember that, which was a system that was meant to implement more stricter driving rules and a demerit system for traffic offences. The Constitutional Court is yet to rule on its legality, but the Road Traffic Infringement Agency wants to go ahead and roll out the system. And the legal head at the agency is Advocate Mncedisi BilIkwana, who joins us on the line. Thank you so much, Advocate BilIkwana, for your time. Good morning. Just give us the context. We've been at the Aarto issue. If memory serves, from January 2022, where the legality thereof for certain aspects of the rules or the legislation had been in question. Give us an update as to where we are since then.
Well, thank you so much. So where we are now, we're still waiting for the finalization of the Constitutional Court judgment. Well, as you know, that the case was argued on the 15th of November in 2022. And up to now, then we're still waiting for the finalization of that judgment.
And this just puts a spanner in the works, because in the meantime, where it goes to law enforcement, especially with municipalities, what does the law state while we are waiting the outcome of the Constitutional Court, the Apex Court, in terms of the legality of the Aarto Act?
Yeah, look, we have actually outlined in our corporate document what is called an annual performance plan, and we did talk about that the High Court ruling as it stands now has no force and effect until it is confirmed by the Constitutional Court. And that process is outlined in the Constitutional Court rules, in Rule 16 of the Constitutional Court. So people should not be confused about that High Court ruling. So for now, it's business as usual at the organization. Of course, there are some programs that we had to scale down as a result of the constitutional of the High Court ruling. Many programs that were pertaining to the rollout of the program nationally. But at this stage, that High Court ruling, as I said, has no force and effect until it is confirmed by the Apex Court.
Is this Aarto system essentially just a source of revenue for the Road Traffic Infringement Agency, considering that there had been mixed reactions from or office implementation even from the get-go?
Yeah, well, it is not a money-making scheme. It's a very incorrect perception because you remember the reason why the RTIA and the Aarto program as an administrative system was established was to replace the court in terms of the adjudication of road traffic offences. Now, ordinarily, when you commit an infringement, even in the court system, you have to pay, right, a fine, a prescribed fine for that infringement. Now, nothing is changing. So, in fact, what RTIA does, we do collect revenue that is paid into our accounts, and then we disperse it to the municipalities. And again, if one is saying RTIA is about revenue making, now I'll tell you now that, of the 174,000 representations that were made by infringers at the agency, we've made 71% of those representations successful. So if we're money-driven or revenue-driven, I mean, the numbers will be going in the opposite direction. So we're not about that. So we really are replacing the courts. Of course, if one would ask, well, how do we fund our overheads? We do get funded by the Department of Transport, but very, 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 at a very small scale. And the rest of the funding, then, of course, we get our funding from our share of the revenue. And again, not all of that money goes into our pockets or into our balance sheet. I mean, any surplus that we realize, we send it back to the fiscals.
Advocate, we're going to have to leave it there. I'm afraid we're fresh out of time, but that's Advocate Mncedisi BilIkwana. He's the legal head at the Road Traffic Infringement Agency. We'll try and have him back at some point once the Constitutional Court has decided on the legality of the Aarto system.